They can't tie him to the crime, but she can. Lord Licorice woke up on January 24th, 2025, to yelling and banging noises at his front door. When he went to investigate, he found himself forced into the back of a police car and locked up in a jail cell. It turned out that he had been suspected of covering Queen Francine's house with licorice, and they had charged him with vandalism and destruction of property. But while the prosecution seemed so sure of their decision, they never even bothered to consider the alternatives. They never investigated the person who tied him to the crime. The prosecution tries to tell you that all leads criminalize Lord Licorice, but they're looking at the wrong Licorice here. Every lead criminalizes Lady Licorice. Today, the prosecution has the highest burden in our criminal justice system. They need to prove to you beyond any reasonable doubt that Lord Licorice had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to vandalize Queen Fraustine's house. If we can tell you even one justifiable reason Lord Licorice is innocent, that means you find him not guilty. I'll go over the limits and the links, then the lady and the lies. And I'll point out all the reasonable doubt in this case, and why that means Lord Licorice is innocent. First, the limits. Because while the prosecution wants you to believe that they're convicting Lord Licorice on the basis of facts and evidence, not bias and presumptions, the truth is, they can't. The prosecution called up Princess Lolly to the stand, who apparently claims that the vandalism is consistent with Lord Licorice's previous methods. But when we cross-examined the princess, she admitted that they never even considered investigating someone else. Lord Licorice's ex-wife, Lady Licorice, whom Princess Lolly admits has several public statements about wanting to cover buildings with licorice, and who has a history with Lord Licorice, and with that the perfect reason to want to frame him. That's reasonable doubt, and this is all information that the prosecution literally knows and simply refuses to address. Then, their second witness, forensic analyst Mr. Minty, found that the tools and candy in Lord Licorice's car matched the licorice found on Queen Fraustine's house. And then he tries to use that to prove how Lord Licorice has the means and opportunity to commit the crime. First of all, this evidence doesn't have anything to do with opportunity. They mention nothing about the time frame of the crime or what actually happened, but that doesn't even matter, because Mr. Minty gives us no DNA evidence, no fingerprints, no footage, no biological evidence, no tracks. He gives us evidence tying the car's contents to the crime, sure, but not a single thing tying Lord Licorice to the contents. That's evidence of framing. Another witness, King Candy, confirms this information. That's witnesses on both sides, for the prosecution and the defense, all coming to an agreement. The conclusion is clear. They can't tie him to the crime. But she can. Lord Licorice's ex-wife, Lady Licorice. They've had a history of fractured relationships, and she can be tied to the crime. When leader consultant Sir Gumdrop approached the witness stand, he showed you Lady Licorice's social media post, and how, on it, she directly expressed the desire to cover Candyland buildings with the exact same black and red licorice you see on Queen Fraustine's house. Even going back to Princess Lolly's statements, the prosecution's own witness admits that Lady Licorice, again, gave public pro-licorice vandalism statements. That's reasonable doubt. And unlike the prosecution, she can tie Lord Licorice to the crime by unfairly framing him. Again, Princess Lolly, the prosecution's witness, admits Lady and Lord Licorice had a history. She's his ex-wife. That's motive she has. When Queen Fraustine went outside on January 23rd, she saw red and black licorice covering her peppermint mansion. Immediately, she called the Candyland police, but instead of investigating, they guessed. Instead of searching, they assumed. Instead of properly looking at all possibilities, they arrested an innocent man with no provable links to the crime, all while completely ignoring the other suspect, his destructive ex-wife, Lady Licorice. They can't prove the means, motive, and opportunity because 1, there's nothing actually tying Lord Licorice to the crime. 2, the only motive they talk about is Lord Licorice's decades-old interest in the Licorice Kingdom, while Lady Licorice has recently posted about her own uninvestigated desire. Don't let them talk about any motive Lord Licorice might have when they simply refuse to address Lady Licorice at all. And 3, they can give you any proof of an opportunity. This charge is not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not linked together, it's not unbiased, it's not thorough, it's not objective, and it certainly isn't justice. They can't tie him to the crime, but she can. Find an innocent man innocent. That's the only way to hold the real criminal accountable. That's the only way to give Queen Faustine the justice she deserves. Don't let her tie him to the crime. Find Lord Licorice not guilty.